I have a driving need for detail, which is a good attribute actually in the workforce. If you want to get work done, hire someone with OCD. The first 9 years I was with my mom, she had 3 kids, she couldn't raise us on a waitress salary. And she just, I think, exhausted all of her resources. And I felt abandoned by her when she called my dad. I remember overhearing this conversation. She called him and said, "You either come and get the kids or I put them in a home." And my sister and I went to live with my dad. And it was very clear from the beginning is that we provide you a bed and food, and that's it. We don't need to talk. For 9 years, I can never remember having a conversation with my dad. And I was the sweetest kid. I just don't understand how my dad could not just love me. Because, you know, I look back at these pictures when I was that age, and I was just the sweetest kid. I didn't make any trouble because I thought if I made trouble, I'd be kicked out like my mom did. I realized something that I hadn't realized before, that my father didn't actually abandon me like from day one. He actually ended up hating me. That's why he never wanted to see me again when I left to go into the Air Force. When I did go in the Air Force, though, I said, okay, God, now I can it's up to me. So no matter how abused I was or neglected I was, no matter, it's really up to me now. When I went to the military, I loved it. I loved being around all men. It just brings back lots of memories, especially about how I enjoyed wearing the uniform. And I mean, I would change uniform every 3 or 4 days to a new, crisp, clean uniform. Going to the military was the first monumental, but AIDS was the second monumental thing in my life. I knew, both my lover and I knew we were infected, and we could pretty well pinpoint it to 1980. In the spring of 1980, we were going to San Francisco to the baths every weekend. That was our social life. I volunteered for every study that was available on my particular situation because I have never really had any ill effects from being infected. Virus shows up into my system, but it just hasn't done any damage. And I've kept up on the research, and the best guess they have is that there's a genetic component for these less than 1% of people infected. My lover and I, we were together those 5 years, and he was getting sicker and sicker. And when I burned out, I left him. I left the work. I didn't read an article on AIDS. I was just burned out. And so I've really been able, I wrestled with that. I mean, in the beginning I cried and cried and cried, you know, and was ashamed and was, like I said, felt guilty. But looking back on it, all I was doing is taking care of myself. The third momentous time was becoming Canadian, moving to Canada. And I first became a resident, and then I applied for citizenship and went through the ceremony, and I was very proud. Like, I can remember coming through the border, Peace Arch, and driving into the city, and it was just like this calming effect on me. It's like, oh, it's like coming home. I just loved it. I still do. I'm a very proud Canadian. And so then I met my current partner, and next month we celebrate our 25th anniversary. And when I first met him, I said, he was closeted and he had a girlfriend, and I told him, I said, you know, you dropped the girlfriend in your history. I don't want anything more serious than what we have right now. And here, 25 years later, we still live together, take holidays together, see each other every day. So life is just filled with surprises. The reason that I decided on the archives was I knew that I wanted to write the truth. Before my collection, the whole community was closeted. And so people might collect things, but they would tell their best friend, when I die, you come in and get rid of everything that even hints at me being gay. So there isn't a whole lot documented before my time. I knew when I first came out that I didn't have to play by society's rules. I could make up my own rules. I could tell the truth. I can tell the truth about myself. I've realized that this is a very healing time for me.
Yeah.
Better?
Yes. Go for it.
Okay, this is a poem about me. In shadows of neglect, a boy stood alone, unloved, unseen, his heart aching to belong. Through life's trials and hardships, he fought with might. Defying the odds, he found his inner light. With each step, he faced hurdles, strong and tall, but courage, his ally, he heeded the call. Through decades of strife, his spirit unbowed, at 75, self-actualized, he stood proud. 100 years from now, I think someone knowing about the history I went through with AIDS in particular is going to be relevant. It's going to be like, you know, digging out a relic from your past. That, you know, I've always thought, wouldn't it have been amazing if one of those grandparents that I knew something about, if they had documented even a part of their life, it would have been so interesting. But that's 100 years hence.